I've spent most of my life under the hood of a car. Grease under my nails, burnt rubber in the air, and that satisfying click when an engine finally gives in and listens to you. That was my language, my world, my home. But the story I'm about to tell you, it isn't about engines or cars or the shop that raised me. It's about betrayal, legacy, family, and the day I realized blood doesn't always make someone loyal, but sweat sometimes does. This is the story of how my marriage ended, and how the one thing my father-in-law left me became the battleground for a war I never wanted. I was 15 when I first walked into Carver Auto and Restoration, a small family shop tucked behind an old diner, the kind of place no outsider would notice unless they knew what they were looking for. But I noticed. Because inside that shop, surrounded by tools older than me, engines that growled like hungry beasts, and the man I would eventually call family, I felt something I'd never felt at home: belonging. My father-in-law, back then just Mr. Carver, was a giant of a man with a soft voice and hands rough like sandpaper. He didn't talk much, but when he did, you listened. On my first day, he tossed me a rag and said, "If you're here to learn, then learn. If you're here to work, then work. Either way, make yourself useful." I was hooked. By 16, I could take apart a transmission blindfolded. By 18, I was practically running after hours. His own 4 kids, doctors, lawyers, professionals, never cared about the shop. They saw it as their father's hobby. But me, I saw it as a future. And I guess he saw that in me too, because one night, after closing, he sat beside me on an oil-stained bench and said, "You're more of a son to me than the ones who share my blood." I remember swallowing hard, pretending the gasoline fumes were making my eyes sting. Then I met his daughter, the woman who would become my wife. Beautiful, brilliant, and at the time, I believed, loyal. Spoiler alert, she wasn't. But back then, I didn't know that. Back then, everything was perfect. When my father-in-law got sick, everything changed. Cancer. Fast. Aggressive. The kind that doesn't ask permission before taking everything. He started coming to the shop less and less, started forgetting things, started losing weight, breath, hope. One afternoon, while I was repairing a 1970 Mustang he loved more than his own children, he walked in slowly, leaning on the doorframe. I turned to him. "Hey, you okay?" He didn't answer at first, just watched me work. Then he said, "I want you to take the shop." I froze. What? The business, the tools, the land, everything. I nearly dropped the wrench. "But, sir, your kids." "They don't want it. They never did. You did." "Yeah, but that doesn't mean—" He cut me off, voice firm but trembling. "Son, legacy isn't about blood. It's about who shows up. You showed up." That was the day he signed the papers. Legally. Cleanly. In front of witnesses. And 3 months later, he was gone. I kept the shop exactly how he left it, except bigger, better, thriving. 5 new bays, high-end restoration jobs, repeat clients. The old man would have been proud. My wife? Not so much. She spent most nights at the hospital working double shifts, which I respected, until I found out she was actually spending them with another doctor. Yeah. Imagine dedicating your entire life to honoring her father's legacy, and she throws away your loyalty like trash. When I confronted her, she didn't even deny it. She just said, "We grew apart." I asked, "When? While you were lying in someone else's bed?" She looked down. Guilty, but not enough. Never enough. Our divorce was quick, cold, legal. We didn't have kids. She was infertile, something we both struggled with, so custody wasn't a factor. I kept the house, most of the money. And the shop? Of course I kept that too. It was legally mine, inherited, documented, ironclad. And then the chaos. It started with a text from my ex-brother-in-law. "We need to talk about the shop." I ignored it. Next day, "You've had it long enough. It's Dad's legacy. We want it back." Then came the calls, then visits, then an actual confrontation in the shop parking lot. All four siblings, standing there like they were about to perform an exorcism, my ex-wife included. She approached first. "Look, we know things ended badly, but this isn't about us. It's about Dad." I leaned against the hood of a car I was working on, arms crossed. "Dad gave it to me." My ex-wife's older brother snapped. "When he was sick, he wasn't thinking clearly." I stepped toward him. "He signed the contract before he was bedridden. His lawyer was there. Witnesses were there." Her sister chimed in, voice shrill. "But you're not family anymore, so give it back." I laughed under my breath. "You weren't family to the shop even when you were his kids. Where were you when he needed help? Where were you when he asked for support? Where were you when he begged any of you to learn the business?" Silence. Dead, suffocating silence. My ex-wife whispered, "Please, it's the last piece of him we have." And I finally lost it. "No, it's the last piece of him I have. I was there. I worked beside him. I held his hand in the hospital when none of you bothered to show up. I was the only one who cared." Her eyes welled up, but I wasn't done. "He trusted me with his legacy. He gave it to me because he knew I'd honor it. And I have, for 12 years, while you all lived your own lives without giving this place a second thought." Her brother stepped forward, face red with anger. "We're asking one last time, give us the business." I looked each of them in the eyes, calm, steady, and said, "No. I built this place with my own hands, and I'm not giving it." They tried guilt, they tried shame, they even tried sending a lawyer who laughed when he saw the airtight paperwork. Then they tried begging. My ex-wife visited alone one night. She walked into the shop quietly, looking around like she missed it. She didn't. She missed control. She said softly, "Maybe we can work something out." I didn't look up from the engine I was adjusting. "There's nothing to work out." "You don't even need the shop anymore," she argued. "You have the money. You have the house. Just let us have this, please." I tightened a screw and said, "I didn't inherit money. I inherited responsibility." She swallowed hard. "Then do it for him." And finally, I looked at her. For the first time in years, I really looked at her. "You cheated on me. You betrayed me. And now you want the one thing your father entrusted to me because you suddenly care now?" She had no argument, no words, nothing. She left crying, but not for me, for her ego. 2 weeks later, they all came back one last time, this time with candles, pictures, even a framed portrait of their father, like some dramatic movie scene. My ex-wife's mother stepped forward, voice trembling. "He was a good man, and you're keeping the only piece of him we have left." I sighed. "He left all of you memories. He left me the shop. You want something he gave me because you regret not being here when he needed you." Her son yelled, "You don't deserve it." I met his eyes and said, "Then you should have shown up when he was alive." That was the last time I saw any of them. They stormed off, threatening to never speak to me again, like that was a punishment. Do I regret keeping the shop? Not for a second. I built it, expanded it, poured my life into it. And every time I turn the key in the morning, I feel him there. His presence, his voice, his quiet approval, his legacy. Our legacy, not theirs. Not anymore. So, am I the asshole for not giving it back? I don't think so. I'm just the guy who kept his promise to a dying man while his own children didn't. And I'll keep that promise until my own hands can't hold a wrench anymore. If you enjoyed this story and want more cinematic Reddit tales like this one, don't forget to hit subscribe, tap the bell icon, leave a comment, and smash that like button. This is your channel for real-life Reddit stories, drama, revenge, and AITA.